Yes, yes, yes. Maybe not a stream by the crossroads, but a spark of ice and fire. Welcome to that stream, the Tuesday night stream of A Song of Ice and Fire, where we chat
Wednesday
about
morning.
Wednesday morning for other people in the world, the future, I like to call it. And we talk about A Song of Ice and Fire, everything from the TV shows, which disappoint here and there, the book can't, the books that may never get finished, and the lore that I can't get enough of and wish we got more. And tonight, Grant, we will be talking about weirwood trees to start the show, at least. But before we start that, oi, oi, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Doing good, mate. Doing good. Yeah, I think it's an interesting topic. Looking into it, you got to ask a lot more questions before we can answer the main
Right.
question, which I quite like those ones. So,
Mhm.
yeah, it should be interesting because George likes to mix mythical with realism when it comes to his quote unquote science of the world.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Lord of Queens is in the house. Good to see you. Hopefully some of our regulars will stop by. It's turned out in the last couple of years, a lot of people have gotten away from A Song of Ice and Fire. There, and I can
Oh, I hadn't
understand why.
noticed.
Yeah, I haven't noticed either. I could see why. It's just I'm praying that we get one more book at least, and and I love talking about it, and every time we talk about it, we think of new things. And that's something you can't take away from George Martin. He gets you thinking by either leaving something so vague or even giving you too much information that you start to think he's trying to lead you somewhere you're not supposed to go. I mean, it's really kind of interesting.
Well, yeah, and I think that's the problem that he's written himself into as well because he likes to have those overarching things, and because he's not a traditional writer, like
Yeah.
when he was doing Clash of Kings, he wrote that book 4 times essentially because he didn't know where the story was going to go until he wrote it,
Mhm.
and then when I like this, and then he wrote it again a different way. Like, no, this one's better. Like,
Yeah.
so I'm
I mean, he
thinking.
is
I mean,
I'm
there's
sorry.
probably
Go on.
10 books that are already been written. The Winter Winter is finished. He just doesn't know which version he wants.
Right. Right.
That's
And
what it is.
that's a good
Because he's
point,
a
man.
as he said, he's a gardener,
Yes.
not an architect.
I mean, look at how to him, A Feast of Crows is one book. It's
Yeah,
not a Dance of Dragons and it's Feast of Crows. Like he had to split it up because the story was so large. That's why I still can't believe he's going to end it in 7 books. I've been
yeah.
saying that for a few years now. Just where Danny is in the story. If you're ever going to have her come back to Marine, now he's talked about getting rid of some stuff. He we always thought
You
he
got
would
sometimes you
eat.
just got to cut the knot, the Milanese knot that he's done. Like,
Yeah, that
I
Marion
think
is
one
not
or
as
two
rough.
things is going to happen. Something drastic. Either she's just going to go, I'm out. Like where she is at the moment, Drogon's going to come pick her up or whatever it is, and then she's just going to go.
She'll just leave Marine to,
She'll just leave
those guys.
and
Wouldn't that be
everything like that.
fantastic?
Like we'll have the story of everyone. Like it's going to change. Like, oh my god, like Barristan, freaking Tyrion, like everyone's story is going to be completely different
Yeah.
because, well, Tyrion's not there. Sorry, that's a TV show.
No, Tyrion's
Not,
Tyrion's in Marine. He's with the Second Sons, right?
yeah,
Is
yeah,
it
but he's not
second?
with her.
Or
Yeah,
yeah.
the
Is
not
it?
the second son. No, no, with young Griff and all that.
No, no, no. He's with Big Belly. Belly. He's with one of the. They were slaves. Him
Oh,
and
that's right.
Mormont, right? And then their
I
slave, the
forgot about that.
whale.
Yeah, no, I still
Yeah,
remember it
he
earlier on.
died. Yep.
It's been a while since I've reread it,
Yeah,
so.
I know. And then sometimes the show leaks into your head and confuses you.
But,
But yeah, they're about
well,
to
because
flip
I watched
sides.
it, I watched the show first before I started reading.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So every time I read the books, I'm seeing the characters from the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah. Well, isn't it funny
Um,
that I read the books first before the series wasn't even I don't think it was even announced yet, and I still imagine Sean Beam being in it, which is weird because Ed Stark dies.
yeah, because he
Um,
dies. Yeah,
because
you're
he
like he
dies.
dies a lot. You're like it's either
It's like,
Michelle
oh,
Rodriguez or yeah,
yeah. It's like a major character that dies way before you thought he would. Yeah, yeah, that's Bean. That's Bean. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, but you're right. It has gotten sometimes confused. Oh shit. We had a technical difficulty here. Thank you. Stand by. Um, Sorry about that. Very high production value here. But what I was thinking was, he can do it though. He still, I think it was like what, 5 years ago he said he was 3/4 of the way done, and he's
So
still 3/4 of the way.
2017 is when he said it.
Was that the first time he said it?
2017, he said he was 3/4 of the way done. It was August or September.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So it's 8 years or so. Whatever. We're over 5,000 days now. But there is a way to do it, and you said it. Like, I think he's stuck on, how do I get at least Tyrion and Dany and even Jorah together, while Victarion needs to somehow either get killed off and the horn lays in their lap, or something like that. And how do you respectfully either kill Barristan or make him the hero and then the villain for what he did by overthrowing her husband? There's so much that he could do. Now, Preston Jacobs.
Why would overthrowing the husband make him the villain?
Because I don't, well, not the villain, but I could see Dany being pissed off and not agreeing with his decision, even though because he was led into it. He was tricked into it. He was made to believe he's part of the Harpies. He's not. I know
tried
you
to poison
think
her.
He did not. No.
Someone that big and that powerful isn't that stupid. Yeah, well, I mean, that's what people say. They all blame everything on a woman. So,
but the shave paint, I think, might have the shave paint is so anti-old Marine that I think he would try anything to get the war he wants, to eradicate the old and bring in the new. I don't know. There's a good chance.
I don't know what the old versus the new Marine is, because I don't know a lot of the history of it. Like, what would you consider, like,
there was
all
a class
the slaves?
system.
Is that considered old?
Okay, so you had a class system, the top of the pyramid type piece.
So, yeah, I don't know.
I'm having some bad reception here today. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah,
so you didn't hear that really good point that I can't remember what I said, but it was life changing. Yeah. So
all right, so yeah, no, what I was saying is that it's a class system there, and many people were at the lower echelons or even slaves. And when Dany came, she upended that class system.
But what? Okay, you said he wants to get rid of the old ways. What are the old ways? Yeah. I thought slavery was the old way.
Yeah, slavery, but also a class system. So you have like the Green Grace. Is she from Marine, or did she come visit? Yeah, the Green Grace is from there. Her husband, and others that find themselves above everyone.
So like what they had with the lions and the scorpions and all that, and the different factions and stuff that they had of old with the traders and everything.
Yes, and it was like what history wants us to believe.
But right before they want to get rid of that.
Well, yeah, like the shave paint does, because he was from the lower class and he wants to get rid of the class system. And the funny thing is her husband does too.
Why would killing Dany, the one who's bringing equality to the area?
Yeah, I don't think he wants to kill her. Now, I don't see Dany
why would you poison the locusts?
To get her sick. Because think about it. You really think Dany's going to eat as much as strong Bellios did? No, he ate a ton of them and then got cramps and sick to his stomach, and then they realized they poisoned the locusts. She would have maybe ate one.
But he wouldn't need as much because of her size. Remember,
that's what I'm saying. But she probably would only eat one if she ate any.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, like, one is probably the equivalent of a dozen compared to him. Yeah, well, the guy's 6'4", 400 pounds versus what, 120-pound little girl.
Yeah. Well, also, you know what? Even if it did kill her, let's say it did kill her, they have a reason to destroy, because they all believe the Harpies are that upper class, trying to kill her and her men. Well, then you just killed the mother of dragons. You don't think, you won't have Grey Worm, the Dothraki, and all the freedmen destroy all of them, and then he can rise to the top and lead Marine when when there's no one from Westeros who wants to stay there. It could be, but there's a lot of holes in that theory too. You're right.
Yeah, like
You're right.
to me, I feel like she's out of the way. He's married to her. He gets the rule. He gets the power. It's the most simple thing.
Yeah.
It's a very simple ploy.
It is definitely
You either conquer someone,
Mhm.
or you marry them to get
But
the
I think
alliance.
smart. I think he's smarter because in his mind,
That's
I think
how is that not a
he
smarter way of doing it? Like,
because in his mind, you kill the mother of dragons, those dragons are going to kill you. They're going to kill everybody. They're going to set fire to whatever throne you have there, and then fly away with her body.
no, what they will do is, because clearly they're conscious and they
Yeah, they're
understand the difference between pointy things, they would go and kill every locust around, because that's what killed her.
There he is. What's up, Stig? Hello there.
Yeah, it's a good point, Steve.
Yes.
I know you're there. There he is. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing quite well. My headset is dying though. It only works on one ear. I don't know why.
That's all right. My microphone sucks. I think I broke whatever filament in this.
Well, you kept knocking it over.
I've knocked this thing over so many times. I got to get a better one. But I think I get YouTube money in May. Thank you to all the members and super chats and stuff. Thank you guys. You helped me get a new mic in May, so that'll be awesome. Yeah, you can if you want, Grant. I don't know who, but go.
So anyway, yeah, as we were saying, it was not the shape hate. That's dumb.
No, I think it's the shave pate. Or you know what? I don't think it's either one we're talking about, maybe, if anything. What's up, Sonny Frank? Hello from South Florida.
I think it's the husband, because he could blame it on the shape hate, and it would make sense.
It doesn't come across that way.
Because you said that he's smart. I agree with that. I think he's very cunning.
Smart. He is cunning.
And I think that's a smart way of doing it. If you can't fight your way to the top, you fuck your way there, and that's what he's doing.
Yeah, smart guy. I mean, and also he was able to keep peace for one. I can't ever pronounce his name. Danny's husband in Marine.
Well,
he was able to get his star. Thank you. He was able to get 60 days. Was it 60 days of no
fighting?
No. He got 60 days with no harpy attack. I mean,
harpy attacks. That's right. Yeah.
See that's too much. George is giving us, like, right there. You want to say, oh, he knows who the leaders are. I really don't think he does. Something about it.
He does, because I think Sir Barristan figured it out.
Yeah, I was gonna say, didn't Barry?
No, he got. I think he got. It was the shave pate in his ear, and that's why he throws him in jail.
So you have a super chat too.
Huh?
He had a fight and
you have a super chat.
The henchman guy and
down there.
Yeah. I can't remember anyway. Mike money. Thanks, man. A Adiga outlaw for $10. And it's still April, so that will go to the mic. Thanks, bud.
That's twice as much as your current mic's worth.
Yeah, this thing was TMU. Yeah. It's such shit. I don't trust the shave pate either.
I've actually gotten $2 in a super chat once.
Yeah.
It was on Mary Mayhem's channel. Someone addressed the super chat to me, and she read it and thanked and blah blah blah. And I was like, those $2 are fucking mine.
Yeah, you better be shipping that to me.
Yeah, and she was like, "Oh yeah, you can have it. You can have it." And I was like, "Nah, I'll donate. I'm donating it to your channel."
That's funny, dude. Oh no,
but it counts.
I have something that I can figure this out quick for us guys. Hold on one second.
You figure what out? About the shave pate or about the topic?
Yeah, shave pate and Barristan.
I'm not saying that I trust the shave pate. I'm just saying that I don't. I think it was his dad that was the one that tried to poison Danny.
I don't know. I think it's so too easy. Hi, Teresa. I think it's just too easy of an answer. Maybe that's it. I'm assuming that he'd make it even harder for me. I don't know.
Because this is the thing. Let's just say, for instance, it turns out that he does that. That gives her all the reason just to go scorched earth. Just go, nah, fuck this place. I'm done. Let's go. Kill him. Kill everyone else, and just say, I'll be back every year. If I find one slave, I'm burning the city down. You know?
Yeah, it could be. It could, maybe. I don't know.
The first time that she stops to do any sort of discipline, not discipline, where she tries to actually rule and everything, they take that opportunity to one, break her bond of trust,
right?
Try and kill her,
right?
And then she could just be like, I'm tired of this. I have to be like, I have to be like my hero and just scorch everything,
fire and blood. I think that's what he plans on doing with her, anyways. He's gonna come back.
Something has to happen to her in the desert that makes her. She has to get beaten down to the point where there's nothing left of her, and then gets rescued.
I think she already has been. I think she realizes she lost. I think. Okay, so after, and we will get to the trees, guys. Don't worry. But after, Astapor and after Yunkai, where she overthrew the slavers and installed people to govern, there was murder, death, and armies that just brought back slavery once she left. She stayed in Marine to learn how to be a queen, and she sucked at it because she was trying to be something other than a Targaryen. And I think that's why
she was trying to be a Westeros queen in Eastros. And
but the problem is that
brutal because everyone in Eastros is a shit person.
Right.
So you
and
need
she
to
wanted to do it
shit.
differently, right? Yeah.
Maybe she should try being a queen of Sotheros.
Yeah.
What I what I realized though is that Drogon, wasn't respecting her, and she realized it. He wouldn't listen to her because she wasn't being the dragon. She wasn't being fire and blood. And when she's now in
did she lock up her dragons in the show, or is it in the books as well?
Books, they locked up 2 of the dragons.
2 of them.
Yeah, Drogon was the only one not locked up.
Because that's why I thought initially. Well, I didn't think it was because she was being weak. I thought it was that. It was the reason that he just took off. Essentially, he's just like, well, you're no mother of mine. But then when she's really needed, it's like, fuck, better go rescue mom.
I think that was some of it, but I also think it was she's not being herself, and they do have some type of telepathic community, like not. I think they could sense their feelings. They're not able to talk to the dragons, but the dragons. What's that?
You know how Drogon went kind of crazy,
mm-hmm.
right? And flew off.
Did he hear the bells?
That's exact. What? No, it's he heard the horn at the guy blow, which is supposed to control dragons.
When they did it in Old Town?
Because the timeline lines up.
And it does kind of line up too. That is and he bugged out. Holy crap! I never thought of that.
Yeah.
But when they're in the grasslands in the Dothraki Sea, she has no control over him. He doesn't leave her, but she has no control over him. She has to share his
someone
food.
Else has.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that because I think she starts to gain it back. And then there's a moment where we believe she had her
because of time
monthly friend again.
Well, her monthly friend happens exactly when Jon Snow gets stabbed. That's how both their both their chapters ends with both of them lying in blood, and the blood is steaming.
Right. Yeah. And she's crying.
See, I always took that as Jon Snow got his first period as well.
Yeah, kind of.
I just want to quickly say, I think Adagas jumped in with that great super chat. We got Brian, we got the lovely Sherry, we got Kirsty Angel, and we have Mark. how are you doing, my friend? Yeah, I am not ready for super shit where he's sad because of mean social media tweets. I think I heard. I don't care.
No, it's excessive online trolling.
That's what it was. Yeah. Quentin
Who
Martell
was
is the one
that?
that frees the dragons. Uh, he it's not Tyrion in like in the show. Quentin Martell frees them in the book and supposedly gets killed.
Yeah, I was gonna
His friend,
say it's
his friends act really weird after that. He definitely
well.
got burned.
This is the thing. Like the way that I look at it, it's like you've got some dangerous sort of person, or I don't know, maybe someone from another country, and you go, "Come on in. Let's just. I'm going to let you over quote unquote the border, even though I know you're dangerous," and then they kill you. That's the same sort of thing. That's how I looked at that as an analogy on immigration.
Right. Right.
Don't let
Yeah.
dragons out of the cave because they'll burn you.
I concur.
Yeah, it could be, man.
It's almost like real life in a
yeah.
way. You write so well.
It-
Is it real
I
life or
do-
is it fantasy?
yeah. Which one came first? It's like the chicken or the egg. So
Well, who hatched the egg?
oh, good question. The chicken? I don't know.
Well, there you go. They came first. You've answered your question.
I think it was some other species and the chicken came out. I was gonna post all this in the private chat, but there's a good he's definitely, talking to Sir Barristan, the Shave Pate, making sure he realizes the risks that his dark holds. I don't know. It's definitely in there somewhere. But yeah, let's change focus because I was watching a video the other day. It was not of mine. And it was a clip of Preston Jacobs live stream where one of his super chats that got me thinking about this because we've always talked about Weirwoods. They need blood to survive. And I still believe sacrifice makes them grow. But
We
this
see
guy
it at what is it, the white tree?
Yeah.
They have a huge weirwood tree there, and it's filled with small bones.
the one that's
And I
over
think
the village.
Yeah, I think there was hints of blood there too, so that they had sacrificed probably children.
Because
in the mouth.
the thing of it is, to answer that question, you have to ask another question: are they deciduous? The problem
And
is
for everybody else out there. I mean, I know the term, but what does that mean?
that means that the structure of the tree changes through seasons, whether it be either leaves changing color or usually leaves falling off. But because they state the leaves never fall in the books, but they do during the seasons they do change from a bright red to a darker red, meaning that they do have some sort of deciduous sort of nature to it.
Oh,
does that mean that they're going dormant? Yeah.
So almost more like an evergreen.
That's the thing. They're closer to an evergreen, but they're also, because the leaves change color, that's that's deciduous in nature. That's why I said George likes to mix in fantasy, magical with his science of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let me read the super chat real quick, and then we can get back into this. So the guy's name was the Chaos Card. I want to give him a shout out because it was really good. Oh, I liked having you on screen. So he says Weirwoods are photosynthesizing human consciousness. Instead of capturing energy through red and blue white light waves of the sun, they capture brain waves through electrode like chlorophyll pigment. So like chlorophyll pigment. And then he goes on to say he has two other little statements about it. This is oh, wait a minute, hold on. I'm sorry. There's one more. Weirwoods. Maybe I missed it. But he says those brain waves then are converted through the plant transducers, reaction centers, are converted into glucose, which are stored energy, i.e., afterlife or blended consciousness thoughts. So that's how, because and he doesn't say it here, But what I got from that last statement is he says they store it like energy. So are they taking people's memories, thoughts, and that's how they see all of time? But
Yeah.
not every tree is
So
near people
it
all
actually,
the time, you know?
no, it does make sense. And as a side note, you know the chapter where Bran and Hodor and the others go through the wall,
Yeah,
that weird
right.
gate.
Yes.
There are roots inside the wall, right? And it's weirwood roots because it's a weirwood
Mm-hmm.
gate. And Bran, who he can't see because it's dark, feels something wet and salty uh,
Blood.
drip, yeah, drip onto
During
him
its
as
blood.
he passes under those roots.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that theory that there's like a dragon trapped in the
Yeah,
wall.
an ice dragon. Yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe the tree's feeding on him, kind of like
Well, the tree
like what
did
we
feed
saw.
on a lot of baby sacrifices.
Yeah, and they kind of do something to Blood Raven too. I mean,
Mm,
it's like they're feeding on him plus keeping him alive,
yeah,
so it can go two ways. So you know.
yeah. So I'll just read a couple notes I have on the Black Gate. The Black Gate is described by Samuel Tarley as hidden gate as old as the wall itself. It is located below the Night Fort. Despite its name, it wasn't black. It was made of white weirwood, and there was a face on it. A glow came from the wood like milk and moonlight, though it was so faint it barely seemed to touch anything beyond the door itself. The face on the door was old and pale, wrinkled and shrunken, and looked dead, which I found very curious. With a closed mouth and eyes, sunken cheeks, a withered brow, and sagging chin. Sam thought it looked like the face of a man who could live for 1,000 years and just grow older. The door opens its eyes, which were white and blind. The door spoke, who are you? And Sam says, a man of the Night's Watch, and then tells the oath. When Sam recites the Night's Watch oath, I am the sword in the darkness, etc., the door replied, then pass. Its lips opened wider and wider, wider still, until nothing at all remained but a great gaping mouth in a ring of wrinkles, large enough for people and even Hodor to pass through. As Hodor carried Bran ducked through the mouth, the door's upper lip brushed Bran's head, and a drop of water fell on him. This water was described as strangely warm and salty as a tear. The Black Gate is implied to be part of the spell woven into the wall, described as old ones and strong, which prevent certain beings like cold hands from passing. Stannis asks Sam about the magic gate that they passed through and commands Sam to show him. Sam wonders if it will open for someone not of the black. The last part is there are also mentions of other underground passages and cave systems that allegedly pass beneath the wall, like Gorn's Way we've heard of. So he didn't touch a root. It was actually like the lip of the door. And he said it was though it was for some, you're in a frozen cave and it felt warm and salty.
Yeah, it's blood.
But
it's warm
yeah,
blood.
it could be.
That's what I thought. He said, I think when he said wet like a tear, and instead of saying it was a tear,
Mm-hmm. Because we've heard the wall weeps, but no one says it weeps. It's like a tear. They refer to it as tears. He says this is like a tear. And he's not blind, but it's very dark. So it could be something, other than that. But blood would be like a more irony type thing. I don't know.
So I've got another question to ask to help potentially answer this. So do you think if it does feed off consciousness and that, do you think that's the reason why those who are more around the Weirwoods have like green seeing abilities or warging abilities versus those that are in the south where there isn't any
anymore, really?
Yeah.
There are only like small wild ones still left.
Because you don't hear of
theory.
any Weirwoods in like Essos.
King's
Oh,
Landing.
King's
Essos, yeah.
Well, there is one in King's Landing. The show proved that. And that's
Oh,
all
the
I
show,
remember.
yeah. House of the Dragon
Yeah,
told
yeah.
us there was one. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Stig, what's your theory? Sorry.
I think you know that they keep saying that, you know, the children of the forest went into the ground, you know, deep into the ground and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
I think they do that when they die and they spring up as weirwood trees. They're basically their bodies turn into weirwood trees, and the dead face is the face of the former children of the forest.
Right.
And they
So
nurture themselves
when
from
Leaf
blood.
dies, Leaf will turn into a seed.
That's what I
She's the
think.
other way
Well, it
around.
could be a seed. It could be a seed.
Yeah.
You know, because
There's
we
more
don't-
to it than that, though.
Oh, okay, go on. I'm
Because
sorry.
that would explain how they get so pissed when the weirwood trees get chopped down, because you're killing off that children of the forest permanently.
Yeah.
Well, it's like if a gravestone had consciousness. It's like if your loved one was actually a part of the gravestone.
So I don't know if they become the seed. It is a cool thing to think of,
because we know seeds exist and people have tried to plant them.
But they don't grow usually.
But we don't know where they come from.
Well, that too, and we don't know where they come from because we never hear of like acorns on a weirwood. So where do these seeds come from? You have a valid point saying it may be produced by maybe not all the children of the forest, but someone with a green seeing ability can be the sprout of a new one. But I do believe for the weirwood to even grow bigger, someone has to be in its roots. Like what I've said about Bloodraven, like Bloodraven is just
they didn't try and plant it in blood. They tried to plant it like a traditional plant. That was the problem.
Right.
They should have tried planting it with blood or a sacrifice.
And they blame it on the soil, like in the Erie. They blame
it.
They tried to
do it up in the Vale. Was it in the Vale?
Yeah, it was up in the Vale. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also, the weirwood paste is full of blood. That's weirwood seeds in blood that they want to feed to Bran. So there is blood and seed already there as a ingredient in the lore.
That would make sense if they because we even though we haven't explicitly been told, we believe that the children of the forest do bleed.
Yeah. And look at Bloodraven. Bloodraven has become part of the tree. Yeah, but he has become. I mean, there's a root coming out of his eye socket, and there are moments where
he had his birthmark of blood.
Right. Well, he is Bloodraven for moments when we meet him, but then he's all of a sudden this different like tree AI, you know. And then we get hints of Bloodraven, but it's sapping he's no longer a human. But there's moments where he has clarity of thought when he tells Bran pretty much, I am not the three-eyed crow, by answering it the wrong way. And then he goes back to AI tree.
He doesn't say that. He's just like, oh yes, I've been known by many names. It's been going on for so long. Yeah.
I was once a black.
He doesn't say no, that's not me, bro.
No, but he says it without saying it. He's like, no, I was once a black brother. Yeah, he does. Because he doesn't know what the three-eyed crow even means. He thinks he's talking about the crow. Like, yeah, it does. When he answers it, he talks about being a brother of the Night's Watch. He doesn't understand. Him and Leaf both don't understand the question. So how could he be the three-eyed crow unless, I think someone, maybe it was Stig, brought it up once, he doesn't see himself in the vision, so he doesn't realize he's coming across as a three-eyed crow to Bran. I can understand that, but he doesn't understand the question in the book. He answers it, I was once, very long ago, with a brother of the Night's Watch. That's what pretty much he's saying. I'm telling you, he's not the three-eyed crow. I still believe it. But
it would make sense George introducing another character.
And it'll be someone we know. Someone weird that we were like Benjen or something weird. But yeah,
Cold Hands and the three-eyed. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting thought. But
he's also the first hero.
Last hero too. I think Stig, you're onto something, because we never hear of a fruit, a nut, anything, a pine cone, nothing coming off the tree. So where do they procure a seed? And are these seeds they're taking, they actually are weirwood? Like, because they try to grow them, but they don't grow anywhere else. So is it
actually a
really
very
coming
good
from a
point.
body? Yeah.
Weirwood nut or a weirwood acorn or anything, do we?
Nope. No. So how do they get a seed? I think they try to transplant like a sapling. Was it a sapling in the Vale, not a seed?
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to look that up.
Sapling.
Yeah, I'll look it up.
Wait. So do seeds exist then?
I don't know.
I thought it was a seed. Well, there you go.
Well,
so if you're saying it was a sapling, then
they did say it was weirwood seeds in the paste that they were going to give.
Yeah,
Jotun.
We're going to find
where
out
does
right
these
now.
seeds come from?
Yeah, we've never seen any fruit, anything come off these plants. The source describes a paste of weirwood seeds that Bran Stark is given to eat.
Are they
weirwood bowl? Yeah.
Are they undeveloped children of the forest? So basically, there's like a seed created somehow. They turn into children of the forest. They live for a long time, and then they turn into the trees. Kind of like the xenomorph, kind of like the xenomorph cycle in Alien.
Yeah, because all right, so I have every book and all the, including the excerpts, the World of Ice and Fire. I have them all in this little AI thing that you showed me, Brant, Notebook LM. And when I asked it, do weirwoods have seeds? The only thing it brings up is the one time they say seeds is when they're talking about the paste. So they must have planted maybe a sapling in the Vale.
So okay.
And I knew that without AI.
Yeah, you are AI.
I thought it was a seed. I thought it was a seed that they planted, but you're saying it's that's just my memory then. I knew seeds exist because of the paste, but I thought that's what they tried to do up in the Vale.
Yeah.
So it was a
11
sapling.
alphas. Yeah. Stig, you had something to say?
No, I was agreeing with Grant.
Okay. I'm just going to read a couple of these real quick then. 11 Alpha says the hollow hill has weirwood roots showing in the cave walls, according to Arya. No idea if there's trees above the cave. If the hollow hill is where the Brothers Without Banners, that group.
Yeah. I think so.
I think that's just regular trees above them. In that cave, but there are roots that come through, but we know there's roots coming through the cave that Bran goes into because he has to connect to the tree, and Brynden Rivers is freaking part tree.
I think that cave and whatever is below the cave, Bloodraven's thing, that's the nexus for the whole thing.
Yeah,
it has a massive tree above, doesn't it?
Yes. It's not the biggest one we've seen, but it is huge, because there's that one like you were talking about before that had the small bones in it, was the one that covered that whole village. That thing was massive. But it doesn't have to be huge to be the center, the actual nexus point. And you would think the cave that Bloodraven is in would be the nexus point.
Here's a thought. Maybe the Great Other actually is a tree. That would explain the black eyes. A living tree.
Because some of the weirwoods carved. So some of the weirwoods we were told they carved faces into them. Others are in the middle of nowhere with faces. So could it be the ones that are naturally having faces are the ones coming from a green seer sprouting the seed after they die? And maybe the roots themselves are the other offsprings, because we know that the weirwood net is they're all connected, it seems like, by the roots. And the only ones that I think may be like their own isolated server is the ones in the God's Eye. And that's why we don't know what happened at the pact yet.
Yeah.
Because
I think that's their firewall.
Yeah, exactly.
So but I think Weirwood HQ is up where Bloodraven is.
Yeah, I think Stig is right on that too. I think that's
Yeah,
a
because
interesting.
that's the biggest one. It even says the roots go on for,
Yeah.
for like long tentacle arms. I can't remember the
Yes.
word that they use, but yeah, based on the sheer size of the roots, we can assume that it's an even bigger tree.
Yeah, and 11 alpha, you guys probably put it right. Maybe there are multiple nexus points that are actually kept separate for that reason. It's interesting. I mean, the Weirwood tree is such an interesting hive mind idea that, comes from other stories he wrote prior, but I think it's a brilliant way of like having some living entity that is this tree alive? Does it have its own consciousness? Now that we know maybe it's coming from a green seer's own soul, like Kirsty said, from the underworld soul trees. Or is it something else? Or, do they go dormant if they don't get enough blood and stop growing? Do they ever die? We have heard of ones that are half dead. I can't remember where that is, but there's like a tree that's half dead. But if it has leaves, is that tree actually alive, or does it actually go into a dormancy if it doesn't have either the brainwaves and the blood, or you know what I mean?
Well, what happens when you take the leaves off? Can you smoke the leaves? Can you eat them?
I would try. They got a great red depth to them. We'll have to Weirwood red hair, we'll call it. No, it's an interesting thing. Where the hell do the seeds come from? We're never told that. And there's
because I don't know why. In my head, I thought the seeds were like massive, like sort of thing like that. But
okay, I thought the same thing until just a little while ago. I was researching it. I think it was like a year ago we did weirwood trees, and I thought of it, but I forgot to bring it up. But I used to think the same thing, like an avocado. Like
that's what I thought as well. I don't know why. Maybe we discussed it and that's what we thought. But yeah, in my head, I'm like, they're huge.
What's up, Andy? Yeah, weirwood trees are very interesting. Are they they're definitely parasitic. They will use you until you're done.
Maybe George likes a lot of duality with his storytelling and everything and different things. Perhaps we're looking at it as wrong. Maybe it's not its own individual entity, but each of them are their own nations. And like how Aegon conquered everything, yet Dawn was able to be on its own and live its own thing separate. Maybe that's what the God's Eye is.
Yeah.
Maybe it's separate because it doesn't want to be a part of it. Not that it's blocking it off or anything. Maybe each of them are like the heart tree at Winterfell. Maybe while it's connected to the other ones, maybe it has its own powers, personalities. Where the one up at with Bloodwraith, maybe it's more parasitical by nature because it's in a harsher climate. It's on this. It has its own quote unquote personality behind it. Where
that's really good. I like that idea. Like if it is taking in brainwaves and blood, can the tree at Winterfell that took in mostly Stark brainwaves and the blood that they sacrificed to that tree, does it give that tree a certain personality? Does it make that tree different than the tree that's past the wall that wildlings were sacrificed in front that hated Southerners? Or is it all connected? And the God's Eye to me is the only one that could be separate. I don't know. Because you have Hearthome, where the ghost of High Heart is. All those weirwoods are cut down, but again, they still have power.
Jamie leans on one.
Jamie
has a vision,
lays
right?
on one. And it still has power. I think it was stupid in the show that he even stayed at Harrenhal after he found a witch, but the idea that can you sleep on a weirwood bed? Will that give some sense of what that tree has seen before, or does it have powers? Why do the faceless men have a weirwood door? And then that onyx colored door, the nightshade tree.
Yeah. Is there any in the neck? Do we know? Because they followed the old religion, old ways.
I don't
So
think
it would
anything
make
before
sense.
the neck. I don't think there's anything other than the God's Eye. So I believe the neck, yeah, they must have Weirwoods in somewhere in that area because that's still considered the north. That's a good
That's
question.
what I'm saying. That yeah, like House Reed and all that. So
Mhm.
because that's I don't know. I assume that the ones who follow it had Weirwoods there, and it's not just a third party religion; it's a first hand one.
Yeah. So I do see the only one that I see that is south that we ever hear about that has a cave, a massive like Lord of the Rings cave underneath it, like done by the dwarves, but it's the children of the forest, is that one we hear about in the Rainwood, which is in a sample chapter, which is kind of interesting. Um, we hear about them in God's woods, but not below the south. Um, they like to grow. Weirwoods are also extensively beyond the walls, sometimes grow in groves or rough circles. They can grow in clefts between rocks on islands, and their roots extend into caverns beneath hollow hills where the children of the forest and green seers reside. Um, there's a lot about this right here, but I don't see many that are anywhere else but the north.
Yeah, because like Glover family, they worship the old gods, but it was never stated that they have anything around Deepwood Mott or Moat, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. So yeah, that is a good question, dude. I don't know because yeah, you don't hear about it in the neck, but we really haven't been to the neck except for Deepwood, Deepwood Mott, or no, Moat Kalen, is it? Moat Kalen's the one.
No, Moat Caitlin is the other one. Deepwood Mott or Moat.
I thought that one is the Boltons. I could be confusing the two. I might be screwed
You
up on that.
You're probably right. I've gotten half things right, and the other half were incorrect.
Yeah, it's one of those days, man. Legend says here. Yeah, go ahead.
Someone said the other day, I can't remember what stream it was in, that in one of the Soundset chapters it was mentioned that there was a sorry for the phone call.
It's all right, man. Oh yeah, it's a phone call. Okay, so I'm gonna go to what I was gonna say. The faces were carved by the children of the forest, sometimes with the first men, perhaps to give their gods or to awaken the tree, like their god's eyes, or to awaken the tree. These faces are described as old, pale, wrinkled, shrunken. I read that one before, but then there's this part where it talks about. Yeah, please.
The children of the forest can't work iron or metals. What do they use to carve the trees with?
Right, stone. Like
dragon
it wouldn't
glass?
be that great of a job because I don't. Oh, it could be obsidian. That might be the only thing they would use. That makes sense if it was that, because we never even hear of them working with stone tools. So I would think it would be dragon glass.
Could the faces be done to commemorate the?
Say that last part because you went out. The faces could what?
Could the faces be carved to commemorate the dead children of the forest?
Yeah, I was wondering that too. Like let's say, because we're told the children carved them long ago, and then the first men did it. So we know first men actually did carve faces. So I don't know how many would be naturally formed that way, but do they carve the face of that child of the forest that was the seed? Are we seeing something resembling that?
Here's a thought. The first men couldn't make weirwood trees like the children of the forest did. So they're the ones who carved them. Because the children of the forest, show, hey, you could carve instead if you can't use our magic. So some are legit, some are carved by humans.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. Okay,
Stuff
because
out.
if they told the first men, yeah, we carved those faces because they don't want them to know that they're naturally made that way. Maybe I don't know, but there is references to first men actually carving faces.
Yeah.
So
Or the children are saying, "Hey, this is what we do to our dead. You should do it too."
right, right.
Well, I
I don't
mean,
know.
yeah, spreading their religion or their way in which to prepare the dead makes sense as well. A lot of
Mhm.
cultures do that.
Yeah, and then the green seers became the priests.
Yeah.
From the humans to them, like a middle ground,
Yeah,
maybe.
sorry, I remember what I was saying before I got the call. I can't remember whose stream I was watching, but they mentioned that in one of the Sansa chapters, that
Mhm.
it's mentioned that there was uh, a weirwood in King's Landing.
No, because she goes to the God's Eye, but there's no weirwood there.
Yeah, I don't remember, but I can't remember whose stream it was, but everyone that was on the panel seemed to recall that.
Yeah, I think they're wrong.
Well,
I remember that
did
being a
they watch the
very
show?
yeah, I remember that being a very specific thing we're told
Yeah,
that
because
the
when we
heart
saw it in
tree.
the show, we are like, wait, what the hell?
Yeah,
Why is there?
the heart.
I remember that because I didn't think so.
Yeah, like the heart tree down, and I could look it up in a second, but I think it's like an oak or something else, but it's a gray barked tree. Um,
Yeah,
it's
because
there's definitely
apparently
not a
I know
weirwood.
it was in it was Sansa one in Clash of Kings, but I don't know. I haven't. So I said it's
I'll
been a
take a
while
look.
since I've reread stuff.
But I was going
So
to read about that monstrous one I was talking about. So
all right.
that was in White Tree Village. It was on an old map of Sam's. And John says Jon Snow had never had ever seen the trunk near 8 feet wide, the branches spreading so far that the entire village was shaded beneath their canopy. The size did not disturb him so much as the face, the mouth especially. No simple carved slashes, but a jagged hollow large enough to swallow a sheep. Those are not sheep bones, though, nor is that a sheep's skull in the ash. An old tree. Moramont sat his horse, frowning. Old. His raven agreed his shoulder. Old, old, and powerful. John could feel the power. So yeah, they definitely sacrificed somebody in there. Let me just check out
Yeah.
that
Oh,
Sansa
oh.
one.
Uh, I can debunk one of them.
Yeah.
It says
Which one?
weirwoods could be found in the Godswood in the north, though only a few survived in the southern Godswood that
Okay.
were turned into secular gardens. The books explained that King's Landing still had a heart tree in the Godswood, but it was made of oak, not weirwood.
It was oak. Okay, that's what I thought. Hold
Yeah.
on one second. What's up, man?
Hey, Shadow.
Not much. How you guys doing?
Wow, it's been a long
Doing
time.
good,
How you
man.
been? All right, hold on.
I've
I'll be
been
right
pretty
back,
good.
guys.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh damn, he's running. I show up, he's running away.
Yep, you have that effect on people. So
Nah, my kid just loves to interrupt by saying goodnight, even though I already said goodnight to her. Yeah, it's good to see you, man. Let everybody know who you are real quick.
Howdy everyone, I'm the Shadow of the Hawk. I'm just a guy on the internet at this point. Kind of show up to streams when I'm invited, and that's about it.
I swear I've been on a stream with you like a few years ago, right?
yeah, no, he's been on the show a couple times.
Yeah, okay. I thought
Yes,
so.
I think I was invited here twice, and you
Yeah,
may
you
have
should
seen
come
me
on.
on panels before.
And then and Grant said, "Don't have him on again." I was like, "Dude,
Yeah,
come
because
on."
he was getting too good at the trivia.
Yeah. That was it. We're talking about Weirwoods.
I thought it was the opposite. I thought it was the opposite, actually. I thought I fucking failed those.
No,
Yeah.
we just don't want anybody to look better than us. So we were talking about a theory I heard about, man. So this theory goes like this. Weirwoods are photosynthesizing human consciousness. Instead of capturing energy through red blue light waves of the sun, they capture brain waves through electrodes. And they like chlorophyll pigment. And then it goes on to just kind of clarify that real quick. Weirwoods are photosynthesizing human consciousness instead of capturing energy. Oh, wait a minute. I just read that. It's like a little part right here. Where does he say it? And here it is. All right. And he goes on, those brain waves that then are converted through the plant's transducer reaction centers and converted into glucose, which are stored, i.e., like they store their afterlife soul or blended consciousness, which is a weird, awesome idea that I never thought of before, because we always talked about weirwoods thrive on blood, but instead of sunlight, are they would be green if green leaves if it was sunlight, right? Yeah.
In a lot of those old vampire stories and stuff, and I think we see it in the underworld, blood contains memories.
Okay, yeah, blood contains memories.
If that's the case, then that explains a lot of blood stuff.
And that's why the leaves, wouldn't the leaves be red instead of taking sun waves and using chlorophyll that makes it green? It's using, I mean, literally blood. So it's,
I mean, it makes sense. It's using, instead of using the chlorophyll to photosynthesize to get green, it's using your hemoglobin, which is naturally red. So,
and given the fact that George, that Martin had some level, we don't know exactly how much effect he had on Elden Ring's story, but he did contribute to that. And one of the one of the important parts of the lore being the Erd trees, how those kind of serve as siphons for the dead, or what is death in Elden Ring is weird, but for the purposes of this, siphons of the souls of the dead gathered and then siphoned into the Erd tree for resurrection or eternal life, or again, complicated. So given that he had involvement with that, I could definitely see this being a case of something that he put into his world as maybe a cool little thing being more fleshed out in Elden Ring, just like all the incest in Elden Ring.
Yeah, well, that he loves that. But he does have like a little bit too much. He does have a lot of stories that he wrote.
The wood has to come from somewhere. Sorry.
He did have a lot of stories he wrote back in the day that talked about like human hive minds, and and it's like kind of taking what he did in those sci-fi stories and transferred it literally into a fantasy, but I think in a way kept it sci-fi by using the ability. The trees have this symbiotic parasitic thing with people. Yeah.
Gotcha. Kind of like the
is predominantly a sci-fi writer.
Oh yeah, definitely. Sorry about that.
Which means which means the science stuff will bleed into the fantasy.
Yeah.
It does kind of remind me. I mean, most people are immediately going to jump to Ewa on Pandora from Avatar. But where I was thinking was, I am blanking on the planet name, but from Ender's Game, the Epiquinos, the pig people that turn into trees and maintain their consciousness.
I didn't know that. Holy shit, that's kind of interesting. And he has said he's a fan of that writer,
Orson Scott Card.
Yeah.
It's
so then I could definitely okay, that's a very interesting parallel, because so the gist of it is you've got do you guys mind if I spoil this plot point, because this is a huge plot point for the Ender's Game.
Ender's Game. Spoilers for Ender's Game. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So the gist of it is there's a planet, you have this race called the Descaldors, and the way they terraform planets is they release a virus that goes to the planet and basically wipes out 99.9% of the biodiversity on that planet, and then whatever's left becomes, thank you, 11 Alpha. I guess I mispronounced it. It retools what is left into very interconnected organisms for the maintaining of the planet's climate. So kind of like Avatar, where you have the Na'vi are able to interlink with the horses or the bird things, but in a much deeper level, where all the forests are the dead of the sapient species, the Pequeninos, which are like these little pig guys that kind of do the Lost Boy tree swinging thing.
Okay.
And they're they are children of the forest that are tied to the trees that are their dead being resurrected, put there by some higher power to maintain the state of the land, so when they come to settle it, it's the conditions they need to live.
Damn.
Mm.
I mean, that's pretty much it, man. What does George R. R. Martin have to say? If you like trivia, here are some for you. What alias does Rhaegar use at the Harrenhal tournament? Rhaegar?
Sorry, wait. So someone say trivia? What was the question?
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah, trivia. Brian says there are red-leafed plants in real life. There is an African tree that is carnivorous. Its roots sneak up and wrap around animals, then drink their blood, and after feeds on the flesh. Okay, so that would, yeah.
Wait. I thought that was a fucking folktale. That thing's real?
I don't know. But all I know is that we definitely know that, Stig, what do you have here? In the private chat? Please talk about that, Stig. Yeah, the world tree.
Yeah. Well, like I've said, the story seems to be about Ragnarok. It fits the the end of the world, frost and fire giants attacking the north attacking the world during a long night. Everything's pitch black, and there's a long winter happening right after a civil war, as it happens. At the heart of it is Yggdrasil, the world tree, which connects. Its roots connects to all the worlds, right? It's a massive tree,
and it's one kind of
its root of the prison of Loki was trapped directly beneath the tree in the cave. So Bloodraven.
Yep. And his wolf,
and the whole story of it ends with Leaf hiding in a tree.
Crows, and fire.
Right.
Yeah. And at the end of Ragnarok, who survives? A small child named Leaf.
Dude, if Shadow, it is Leaf, so close to Ragnarok. Like Stig did a whole, and we got to do it, Stig, where it's just like you talking and us listening, a whole show on it. And then we could, like, after you explain the whole thing, when you have time, when you're ready to do it, I want one where you just explain it all out and then we talk about it, because the times we've gotten, there's so much interwoven in this story that is Ragnarok. It just is Ragnarok. I mean, I can't.
Yeah, I mean, right?
Your mic. All right, your mic went out there for a second.
Oh, I said Thor dies before Ragnarok, right? Thor used to party, sleep with women, drink, was a great warrior, used the war hammer, and he was a storm god. That's King Robert.
I mean,
born 100%. At Storm's End, uses a hammer, parties, great warrior in his time, right?
Yeah. It's so amazing. We're going to do it.
10 or 12 more of these that fits to a T.
Yeah. Bran, the bound wolf or whatever it is.
Yeah, Fenris.
I
mean, Fenris gets chained behind legs by the god Tyr, who later loses a hand. That Bran, paralyzed from the waist down, Jaime loses a hand.
Yeah.
Oberyn lost his eye searching for knowledge.
Yeah, both his eyes.
Got twice as much knowledge.
What were you going to say, Shadow?
I was going to say, up until Stig mentioned the losing the hand part, I was going to say Fenrir was betrayed by the gods. Bran wasn't betrayed, he just got tossed out of a window, so there'd probably be better characters. But then he mentioned the hand of like how Tyr lost his hand, which that is because he stuck it in Fenrir's mouth. But I mean, not everything needs to be one-to-one, but with that lineup of things, it does make sense.
Think about it.
It's all symbolic, and then Cersei and Jaime are based on gods who kind of
that's
threw him out the window.
But also, and not even a god, but he was betrayed by a man who is supposed to, be someone who protects. He's a knight. He's betrayed.
Or maybe the betrayal hasn't happened yet. Maybe the betrayal is happening.
Maybe it's Bloodraven.
Nah, Bloodraven, son of a bitch.
Murmur.
Yeah, I mean, you have the god Frey in Norse mythology, who is the god of virility, Walder Frey is over 100 years old or something and still making babies.
Yeah, he has so. And how many kids did he have?
99.
A lot.
Yeah. This one I don't get, Kirsty. Usually I'm on point with you. Children of the forest as leaves refer to as the raven's teeth. The raven's teeth are actually Brendan Rivers archers. It's not, it doesn't have something to do with the children of the forest. Am I just reading that wrong? She has some awesome ideas that are just out there and I love it.
I like referencing the Spar toy.
The what?
Sorry,
no. I think I might have a lag actually.
It's like a hair off, I think. That's all. But what were you saying? What toy?
The Spar toy. What's being mentioned, the Warriors, because I don't remember the name of the hero, but it was basically, if I'm remembering the mythology right, there was a Greek hero who was descendant of Ares, who was in a really shit situation, and so Ares told him, "Hey, if you collect dragon's teeth and then bury them and then water them with blood, they will rise as great warriors for you." And he did that. Then he got some pretty fucking badass warriors who did a lot of killing for him. There's a lot of that in Greek mythology. Like the Myrmidons came from a king asking, I think it was Apollo, for help, and so he raised up a colony of ants into the Myrmidons, which, if you recognize that name, yes, Achilles is Myrmidons.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Oh, that's interesting.
Oh.
That is interesting. All right, so that is okay. So they actually, the children of the forest planted Bloodraven, the leader of the Raven's Teeth, and he is helping sprout warriors.
And that's why the tree's growing.
Yeah, I'm telling you,
possibly
the trees have to go dormant. They don't grow because of rain. The sun, I don't know if that's actually helping it. I think it's blood and something to do. I like this idea of memories or brain waves. So I feel like trees, you might have hit something on that, Grant, where you said the lighter red and darker red, and maybe like the darker red is when it's in its growth spurt because it had blood, and then the lighter red, or reverse that, whichever way, it's more dormant, because the trees will die. They never say they die, but they can turn to stone. They petrify at certain points.
Yeah, so I think it might be the dark one, because like with blood, because I still believe blood is a big part of it. When blood is oxygenated, it's a brighter red, and when it's not oxygenated, it's a dark deep red.
Yeah.
So along this line of thinking, along this line of thinking, I just something kind of clicked as a way for Martin to kind of make certain characters who are like, I mean, John's coming back, but for a way for him to make John more gray, more morally gray, get back into the nihilism that we know Martin loves. So the trees are not as active as they used to be. Well, what's changed since when they were active and when they weren't? The faith of the Seven. The first men had been converted from being a bunch of heathen pagan savages who did things like come down from the north and slaughter everyone every winter to minimize food expenditure. And then you had practices like what the Boltons would do. How far is it to assume that the first men had human sacrifices to the weirwood trees?
Oh,
and 100%. Maybe in some capacity. And in some capacity, maybe this magical sacrifice was some kind of warding that helped keep the others away or kept certain things. Like there was some kind of boon from the sacrifice to the weirwoods. Yeah. And then the not something strong enough to stop a bunch of screaming savages coming over the sea like the Anglo-Saxons did. Sorry, the Andals did.
Yeah.
Freudian slip. Andals, not Anglo-Saxons.
Close
not
enough.
The youths. Not the West Saxons, coming over with steel and armor and knights and wiping out that culture, which would lead to the decline of the weirwoods, and then eventually, without an appropriate supply of blood, things start to break down.
Well, I mean, look how long the children and the first men warred for. And 11 Alpha says that even the cut down roots in the South had blood on them because of all the warring
All
between
the battles
children.
and the war.
Yeah. So, you know, they're definitely getting fed because we know that cut down trees still can do something because Jamie has a crazy weirwood dream when he lays on one for his pillow. So we know it has some ability. Blood is
I have a
essential,
little
but I want
thing, though.
to believe. Yeah, go ahead, Stig.
It's about the nihilism. If this story is what I think it is, it's the end of days mixed with Ragnarok. It fits really well. Before the end of days and before Ragnarok, it's complete nihilism. That's what leads kind of to the hubris and the downfall of, you know, everything. So I think I don't think George is nihilistic. I think he is writing about the warning of nihilism in a way by showing it and what it leads to.
Because the dangers of
George
getting
is
married.
a jolly fellow.
He
You
is.
know, whenever you see him, he's laughing, and you know, he's not nihilistic. He's not, you know, what's his name? The guy who
he is
you know,
anti-war.
Michael Moore.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely is anti-war, but the bad sides of war.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah,
that actually makes sense because there's a lot of
doing that with nihilism too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of war and battles in the Winds of Winter. That's why he's against doing it. Makes sense now.
He loves showing a war.
Yeah,
And then the aftermath, what happens to the
He's
fault.
literally a pacifist. He's not writing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Is he a pacifist or is he just scared of violence?
He looks weak. Yeah. He's always looked weak.
Yeah, he fled to Canada during the Vietnam War.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty depressing to hear about that. Yeah. But anyways, you know, he is you know, he calls himself
yeah. At the same time, though, Robert Jordan, the writer of Wheel of Time, went to Vietnam and got 2 Purple Hearts.
Yeah.
And finished his books.
While George was hiding in Canada.
Hiding in Canada. Smoking
Brandon Sanderson
leaves.
did.
Maybe that's where he got the red from, the red color of the maple leaves. Yeah.
Maybe.
So yeah, I do now getting back to, and we could wrap up the tree discussion and talk about something else, but I like this idea that it's not just blood, that and maybe not brain waves, but memories. I feel like trees that the heart tree in Winterfell, it grew off of memories and blood sacrifice at times, but they stopped doing that a long time ago. And that tree, I believe, still would grow. And I think it's because many people pray around it. Many people talk around it.
So it feeds off stories.
And
who has a better story than Bran the Broken?
That's why their tree's the best, bro. No,
I think if they were against it like that, then they would be destroying the weirwood trees. Like when we get any form of White Walker that comes down, would they not want to get rid of the trees then?
Why haven't they done that in the north?
That's true. Maybe they're unaware that it's there.
Or they just are kind of in league, or they just don't assume each other are dangerous to one another.
Or maybe that's the army that Brandon Rivers is forming.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe
you know
correct me if I'm
yeah.
Sorry,
when Stig jumps Stig jumps in, we'll let him go because you're lagging. So when you jump in, we're just gonna let you go and then we'll come back to you, Chef.
You're lagging and you're foreign. It's not a great mixture.
Oi.
Well, when Bran arrives at Bloodraven's cave, right, and you know they're talking about cold hands, and Leaf said, you know, they killed them a long time ago. That's the others. She does not warn against the White Walkers at all.
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
Well,
I just
when they're
missed
in
the beginning of
Bloodraven's
it.
cave.
Yeah.
yeah, Bran arrives and Mira Reed and all that, and they're talking to the children of the forest, and they're talking about cold hands.
Mhm.
The children of the forest do not seem too concerned about the White Walkers. They don't really go, "Oh, they're dangerous, stay away from them," or anything. She just says they killed, cold hands a long time ago, and that, like it's
Right.
nothing.
And they can't come in here.
So I don't. Yeah, well, the undead can't go in there because as Cold Hand says, the cave wards against the undead.
Mhm.
However, he knows the interior of it. He describes the interior to Bran, so he has been there before he died.
Right.
But it looks like they're afraid of the undead, but not necessarily the White Walkers,
Right.
because they have
Because
probably
that's
been there as
Brandon's,
long as
that's
the children of
Brandon's
the
army.
forest.
Yeah, I mean, it could be they created them because, and it goes with this question. Southern Bell 7777 says God's Eye is connected to Weirwood trees. The God's Eye, the Isle of Faces in the God's Eye, that the island, I don't think is connected to any other Weirwood group. I think it's actually its own server, its own little nexus point, because we don't ever, when they connect to the trees, they never see a vision of the pact. And I think that's for a reason. I think they chose that place because it's not connected to any other Weirwood. So whatever happens there stays there, like Vegas. The thing is, we hear weird, like the pact is met, then the White Walkers come. So they battle for a very long time. Children of the Men and the Children of the Forest and the First Men. They agree on the pact where it sounds like the First Men get everything and the children get nothing. But yet then the White Walkers come. So did the children say, "Screw this pact, we got screwed over, send these guys," or was it just something that happened with nature because they stopped fighting and all these weirwoods were sacrificed? I don't know, but I wonder about that myself.
I like to
It
think that
wasn't,
they went full lawyer on it. They said, "All right, we will never attack you. These are the things that we can and can't do." And then one of them just said, "We could just create some sort of creatures that could do our work for us." And they went, "Wait a minute, let me check it out with our tree lawyer." Yep, that's good. And then they started doing that.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't the deal, the contract between the Children of the Forest and the men, and the giants were also there, that the men would get the open plains, the Children of the Forest would get the forests, and then the giants, I think, got the mountains. If I
No,
remember.
no, I think, and I'll bring it up right now.
Gotcha, yeah.
Uh,
Because I remember there was the
children got
war
like
between
the
them.
deep woods. They got the deep woods. So it's like it
Okay,
had to be
gotcha.
like
I think
something that was
they got exactly what they needed.
to like, yeah, build up what they needed to do to finally
Yeah,
finish men
I think that
thousands of years later.
they're the ones that came out ahead of that deal, even though it looked like that they didn't.
Okay, so here we go.
Oh, 'cause
It was made 1,000 years ago at the end of the Dawn Age, commonly accepted as the beginning. The chief heroes and ruler of the First Men met with the green seers and wood dancers of the Children of the Forest. So there were no giants. And it took place in the small island in the God's Eye. Under that pact, the children gave up all the lands of Westeros, save the deep forests. The First Men were given the coastlands, the high plains, the bright meadows, the mountains, and bogs. But the deep woods were to remain forever the children's. Now, what the hell are the deep woods? The only reference I've seen, other than the north is I think it's the Mistwoods, right? And they're in the Stormlands Dorne area, and they're a very compact forest where we find one wild, in one of the sample chapters, we find a one wild weirwood tree growing, which is like very rare. How is that growing in the south? And then they find a cave system that is like humongously big. And then they go off these caves to different caves to find even one that's so much bigger. Like think of Lord of the Rings size, dwarven caves. And the pillars of stone have carved faces in them. So I believe they created these bunkers under these deep woods where they're doing magical rituals of some sort, because this Mistwood one would be a perfect one to break the arm of Dorn, thousands of years ago. That's where they could have been hiding to break the arm of Dorn. And then we may find one up north that's a cave big enough to hold these rituals. So they got screwed, it seems like, in the pack. But I think, like what Grant just said, they got exactly what they needed to play out the long game. And they're building something underneath, including their Weirwood tree network. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, I mean, so they said deep refers to Deepwood Mott, yeah. And
Right, but they don't get it.
House Glover.
Right. So
how long has House Glover been there? How long
thousands.
has the house has been there?
Thousands. It was after the pack.
It's one of the old houses?
Yeah. The Glovers are one of the older houses of the north.
Okay.
Yeah, the Boltons, the Glovers, Big John, the Umbers, of course, the Starks. There's like a couple of them that are like the old houses of the north. Then you got newer houses like the Manderleys.
Yeah, they were according to the wiki. I pulled it up on the wiki. They were first men kings during the Long Night, but then the Starks did what the Starks do and removed that, making them into dukes at the best.
Yeah, the Starks, man, like in the past, they just destroyed. And if they liked you a bit, they would let you survive. But like, look at the War King. They were so angry with the War King, they killed all of his heirs that were male, took their daughters, and that's the only reason they have it in their DNA to ward. So that's how they got it. Like, they slaughter people back in the day, and that's why it's so safe, because they always won. Boltons always tried to spin Starks to get their warging abilities, but they were always in their place until, Theon. That son of a...
Well, and also, that's the reason why Ned, when he finally got into a bit of power, he outlawed flaying.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, Rainwood and Mistwood. So, but yeah, Rainwood is a deep forest. So they were going through it in the Ariana sample chapters where they found the Weirwood, very small wild Weirwood, which is interesting. They called it a wild one. And then, like, if they cut them all down, how does this wild one grow? Something with the old roots still being active. Maybe blood was shed. I don't know. But then that cave system is the craziest thing we learned in one of these new excerpts, and no one's brought it up. And I just last week saw it. I'm like, what the hell? This thing is massive. And I've never heard anybody talk about it. So the children have been planning something under these deep woods. Yeah, definitely.
Who's to say they're not flood shelters?
Yeah. I could read you the part.
I mean, if it was me and I was building a flood shelter, I would be doing it in a mountain, not underground.
Yeah, like
let me rephrase. Yeah, maybe flood shelter was. I was thinking like Noah's Ark flood. But vaults probably would have been a better word to use. Where they're like, all right, these pink-skinned human things are kind of annoying. We can't beat them one-on-one, so let's make a WMD and start, stockpiling supplies, digging deep tunnels, so that way, when the humans are getting overrun and getting wiped out, we just hang out down here until they're gone, and then we just pop our heads up, and then just
kind of a good point.
Start the cycle again.
I mean, it depends on how big the Kraken is that Euron brings forward. So,
well, it's not a literal point. No, you have a very good point, because let's not forget about the last hero, or the first hero, whatever, the hero in the northern stories where he loses all his companions, his horse, his dog, but they were searching for the children of the forest. So they knew that the children were in hiding and were not being affected by the White Walkers. They felt that they would have the answer. We never get the answer, but somehow
because they're creating them.
Yeah, they could be. So that you have a point. It could be some place, maybe not like storing things, but storing up some type of ritual energy, blood. sacrifices in these places, so they can do these
like
mass. Yep.
Like Fremen Sieges.
I don't know what that was.
From Dune, where like they store all the water for the
right, yeah.
brackets.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. See, I was thinking Vault Tech vaults. You know, you shove a bunch of people in there and just wait for the nuclear Armageddon. 100 years later, pop up, rebuild America, rebuild your year-over-year 4% GDP. But it could also be basins for blood, and they just like when the humans and the whites start killing each other and the blood flows, the trees will soak it all up, and then once they're appropriately filled, boom, doomsday.
Yeah, no, interesting. It could be something close to that, some type of ritual sacrifice. They're just waiting for the amount to happen. And a War of Five Kings would help, and then a dragon coming over too might help that. You know, they were waiting for something massive to happen. Yeah.
3 dragons.
And
a kraken.
And a kraken. Could Roose Bolton be doing
3 heads?
The 3 heads of the dragon and the kraken. Could Roose Bolton be doing some Children of the Forest trick with the leeches? If he's not a vampire, the leeches are an interesting thing. I don't know. He could be storing his own blood for something. I don't know why he does the leeches. Like, is it supposed to be a reference to old medieval, health, or is it something more magical?
Well, we know the maesters still use leeches, so
for because if I remember correctly, the logic behind using leeches is they get the bad blood out.
Right.
So if you're some kind of evil magical entity wearing a skin suit, you'd have a lot of bad blood you need siphoned out.
Mm-hmm.
I am personally a fan of the Roose Bolton theory myself.
But he's
immortal.
Yeah.
And he's an immortal, and then every generation he brings the child that looks most like him. He makes sure that's his heir. He leads him into a room, bonks him on the head, takes off the skin suit of the previous kid, puts on this one's skin suit. My father has suffered a horrible accident. He fell down the stairs. I flayed him because I felt like flaying him because I'm a psychopath. And I'm in charge now. Fuck you guys.
Yeah, or it's our, heritage. It's our tradition to flay. And why would you be the flayman if you aren't? I mean, they used to put Stark skins on them to get warging abilities. It never worked, but maybe he found a way to live forever that way. And that's why he's so pissed at Ramsay for killing his actual heir.
For killing the one, See, I always assumed that he was stuffing the leeches really fat to feed to his wife.
He is
the Frey one?
Frey. Yeah. I mean, he got his gold out of her weight, so that's a good one. I don't know, man. That's good. All right, I'm reading this. Crack Claws. I thought Crack Claws was Valerian. Am I thinking of the wrong island?
No, it's not an island. It's that peninsula up north of King's Landing, south of the Vale, where there's Crab. I think his name was
Crab Feeder.
No,
not Crab Feeder. Not Crab Feeder. No. The guy that was traveling with Brienne for a little bit up north of King's Landing.
Yeah, it's.
Here, I'll quickly pull up the map and show you what I'm talking about. Yeah. Actually, in the Game of Thrones mod for CK3, you can make a little formable kingdom right there, and it's good. Once you get past the War of Five King or the Robert's Rebellion phase, it's a fun little bit to just build that up as a little kingdom. You are ass backwards culture wise, but aside from that, fun.
Someone brought this up though. It does have bogs. It has forests, which they use to vanish into caverns when hard pressed by invaders. Historically, they fought against would-be conquerors like the Darkling King, the Mootons of Maidenpool, and the Celtigard. Oh, maybe I was thinking of the Celtigards of Crab Isle. Maybe I was thinking of that.
So this is. Okay, so this map's weird because it's showing Celtigar as the Crack Claw point.
Mm-hmm.
This is a bad map. This is not a good map.
Let me see. Hold on.
The one I've had pulled up.
I had one of layovers of maps, but it might not be as easy to see. Let me take down this. Hold on.
Because if I remember right, Hell's Celtigar is one of the islands.
Yeah, Celtigar is an island. Yes, and that's who I think I was confusing them with. Celtigar is like off that Brune. If you see that peninsula Brune, Celtigar is there. Krakow, I thought, was in the Stormlands.
No, Crackclaw. Well, Crackclaw is where Brune is because that's where Bran went up that way. Yeah, because if it was down in the Stormlands, Bran would have been going south when she was trying to find Sansa. That entire horn bit north of Duskendale is going to be the Crackclaw stuff. Very boggy, very marshy, a bunch of really weird people.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Again, if I'm remembering right, it's been a while since I've read the book, and it's been 2 or 3 years since I played the CK3 mod.
Yeah, the families include the crabs, the Brunes. So you're right. The Bogsies, the Hardys, Caves, and Pines. Okay. So yep. I was confusing it with the Celtigard. Okay. So yeah, we're good. You're right. But I didn't know it had bogs and caverns and stuff like that. I didn't realize that. So that is a good one.
Yeah, it's a very weird place. It's very Shadows over Innsmouth.
Mm-hmm. What if the others are only attacking because no one is following the pact of guest gift giving and leaving, or guest rights and the
That's what I'm saying. I think the old ways is going to be the way in which that's how they're going to defeat the others. That's how I believe.
We've talked about that before. Is the ways of the old ways are being it's of the past, and the Andal's ways and the Seven are taking over all of Westeros, and the others are just like, screw this shit. Like, you're killing people under guest rights. That's why I love Manderley, because he gives guest rights, and then he gives the presents at the end to those Freys, and then sends them on their way, and then slaughters them and put them in a pie. That's fantastic. That is fantastic.
He follows the rules to the letter.
Yeah, he really does. Curse the Angel. Weir equals Garth lends to WWNet as Blood River fishing nets, Bloodline, Blood River Bank, Iron in Blood, Iron Blood Bank. Lots of sword vampire parallels. Blood has memory and blood is life. I agree definitely with that. I like that the Iron Bank is somehow involved. We know that Littlefinger has his fingers connected because his family comes from Bravos into the Iron Bank. I think the Iron Bank, the men, the Faceless Men, and something in the north are connected. Because why would they have that Weirwood door in Bravos, and then they have like
it's a massive one as well. Not like it's a little thing.
It's huge. And then the other door is the ebony door. The two trees that one gives you psychedelic visions and one actually sees memories. One is dark, one is light, one has blue sap, one has red. I mean, like they're just so different and so alike at the same way.
Really random question. Where did the Faceless Men I may just not remember. Where did the Faceless Men get their magic? Like their ability to do because remember, they have to skin people to get the new faces.
Yep. So
Bruce,
not all of them. Yeah, not all of them, but you have a valid point. Boltons like to skin people.
Right.
Not all of them go that far, but we know that Arya in the sample or before it has the operation, but the first ever Faceless Man operation was in the caves underneath the volcanoes in Valeria.
Right.
And
I remember that, but I didn't remember where did they get the magic from, because
and
Bravos is not that far from the north.
Right. Exactly. And they have connections.
Not only that, Roose also is extremely calm in every situation. Like the Faceless Men, they are very, very calm, and their demeanor. They also use leeching as well. Spacemen use leeching as well. So,
oh shit. Yeah, in the Fey system, well, you have a lot of different magic all over the world, but yeah, where do they get it? You know, like, because we don't know if it was a slaver or, you know, one of the slavees that got the first gift. But I think Stig is the one who said he believes that the first one was maybe related to the children of the forest, because they have like their own version of the children of the forest over there. They ride the zebras. I forget the name of the goddamn group, but they're kind of brindle colored, I think. Culture people that ride zebras. I'll get it for you. It's a interesting parallel.
I thought that was just one of the really weird cultures east of the Dothraki Sea, like that place where it's a kingdom of women, or the guys who like style their heads into cone shapes.
And I think these might be those guys, but they're little people.
Oh, so you think they're
they could be like
force analogs.
They're kind of like a offshoot of the children. Maybe they're like a species of children that got stuck on that side when the arm was broken. Maybe they needed them on both sides when the arm broke. Maybe even before that, they just started to, you know, evolve differently. I don't know, but it's
or maybe maybe Westeros was the region of the world of those children majority. Whenever humans somehow came to do stuff, whether they came up from South Ross, whether they started migrating, whatever, but you had a children population on Essos, and then humans do what humans do.
Yep.
And these children were not prepared to deal with a bunch of angry, screaming, pink-skinned things that ride horses and run with dogs.
Right. That's a good point. I like it.
Yeah. Just imagine being a poor little children of the forest, just trying to live your life, and then some weird pink skin thing comes out of nowhere, kills your family, so you run away,
chops down
and
your
find
god.
more fucking pink. Runs away. Oh, there's more of them.
Yeah,
runs away
more.
Again. More of them. Continues to run away. More fucking pink skins.
They're everywhere.
They're a fucking They're an infestation at this point.
They truly are, man. It's crazy. I know Essos somewhere over here. Oh, here we go. The Jogas Nahai. Nhai. Thank you. So these people from the so they're from the furthest east, ride mounts called Zoris. These Zoris are described as hardy beasts with hides marked with black and white stripes. They are said to be originally made by breeding horse. I don't care about that.
These are the guys I was talking about, the ones that like made their head bindings into skulls.
Right. Yeah.
They sound like African Mongols from what I pulled up on the wiki page.
See, I don't know if they make their heads like that. It says they are known for being bow-legged and swarthy, with pointed skulls, and their men shave their heads, except for a single strip of hair, while their women are wholly bald. So I don't know if they actually did a binding thing to do that, or that's natural.
And you've got the actual book there, so it's probably more sourced. But what the wiki I just pulled up says, a result of custom binding the heads of their newborn during the first 2 years of life.
Damn.
And the source of that is the world of ice and fire, the plains of Jogos Nahai.
That's what it is. So they are, and I'm looking at something that I source stuff from, but yeah, they probably they're the Anunnaki are their gods, and they were just trying to be like them.
Maybe.
Yep.
I mean, these guys strike me as African Mongols.
Yeah, but little people too. They're not big.
It said they were a head shorter than the. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Head shorter than what?
Grant was talking before me, so he should probably go first.
Okay.
I just said I think instead of the Mongols, I feel they're more like pygmy. Is how I always took them.
Well, because it said they're only a head shorter than the Dothraki, and if I remember right, the Dothraki are only a head shorter than Westerosi. So
yeah, oh yeah, I see the part you're talking about. Sugar meatballs. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
You're right. With large heads, small faces. That's kind of weird. And a sallow cast of skin. What is sallow?
Unhealthy, I think. It's like describing skin as unhealthy.
Okay.
A
Clammy.
person's of unhealthy yellow or pale brown color. Person's face
Pale brown.
complexion.
Okay. All right. So it's not like a brindle or something like that. Okay.
It's an unhealthy.
dark
You may have
beige.
been, yeah.
I think that's
think
I
like
I
Snape.
confused it. Yeah. I confused it with more of like a brown, like off coloring. All right. So maybe they aren't. Son of a bitch, that ruins that theory. Here we go. The faceless men are taught to meditate in waking dreams to slow their pulse, mask fear, and yeah, they're emotionless. Then you have multiple characters note that Roos seems to never sleep, or if he does, never seems rested or altered by it.
Fana Fromley also mentions a little bit further up. He kills Robb Stark with his own hand, a clean, silent stab to the heart, whispering the Lannisters send their regards, mirroring the precise ritualistic kill of a faceless man.
Mm,
Well, that works.
yeah.
Is Roos a fucking? So the question becomes: Is Roos
he
a
a
faceless
faceless
man
man?
that went rogue, or is he Roose Bolton, a several thousand-year-old thing that taught the faceless men how to do what they do?
Right.
Which is
Or
I like
Very
the
good.
second theory.
I like that one too.
or has Roose Bolton been replaced?
Well, and that could be it too. This could be, but
Mm.
Roos is rarely seen in bright light, often preferring dim or candlelit rooms. He shadows catacombs of the house. Oh yeah, the aesthetic does shadow the catacombs of the House of Black and White. So he is a faceless man or replaced by a faceless man or a rogue faceless man or a 1,000-year-old vampire that created the faceless man. I like any one of those. That's pretty interesting.
It's very interesting.
Based on death and death gods. Yeah, the old gods, I would say that. Westeros is very purgatory like veil was torn between earth, underworld. There's the living in between life and death, and the dead. Yeah, I like your ideas there, Kersey. Like the idea that Westeros is just like like a not even a purgatory, but like a like are they dead? Are they alive? You know, because we see
Limbo.
characters that seem dead. You know, Bruce. We see other ones that are very lively. Robert. Do they? You know,
Almost. It's a world of the dead.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know if we answered any questions with the Weirwood, but I do like that maybe they want to connect their roots into like we also talked before you got here that we never see a fruit, an acorn, anything that are on these trees to make a seed. So how do they reproduce? Is the body of a green seer like implanted by the roots with a seed of some sort, and then that green seer after death, after being connected, becomes a new tree in the north?
Assuming that George R. R. Martin is going total hack, it's a dead child of the forest.
Yeah, that's what
Because that's where that's where Pequeninos come from. When a Pequenino, because the Pequeninos don't seem to have a natural, if I remember right, they don't have a natural lifespan. They don't just die from bodily failure. They have to be killed. So they are killed ritualistically to make the trees.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah. I do heavily recommend the sequel books to Ender's Game. They're very thinky. There's very little action and violence.
Yeah, but it's
They're very
interesting.
thinky.
Yeah.
I love them. They're so good. I read them in middle school. I've got them sitting on my bookshelf. Please ignore how bare it is. I'm moving out in like 2 weeks.
Sure. You're just not learned. We know.
Thank you. I'm reading this for fun. Go jump off a cliff. In Minecraft, YouTube. In Minecraft.
Yes. Don't you worry, YouTube. We'll say what we want to say. Yeah, because I
What
mean,
are you gonna do? Take subs away?
Yeah, you already did enough. I mean, Blood Raven is yeah, it wouldn't be the first time. Blood Raven, I mean, we we see him in the book as pretty much part of the tree. You know, when you have a root going like through your eye socket and then back through in through your body, like, and they're coming
That's
through
just
his legs
normal.
and
It's
his
just
arm.
kids these days with piercings.
Yeah.
That's just normal.
Yeah, like you know, and there's moments where he seems like I said before, a tree AI, and then the next second he has like a moment of Brendan Rivers clarity, and then he's back to tree AI. Like, if they're keeping him alive, they're taking his consciousness over and maybe actually absorbing the memories he had. So, because how do they see anything in the South? How would Bran see over King's Landing in a vision if it's not coming from something else other than what the tree can see? So I have a feeling they suck up memories or have some way to tap into people's brainwaves. It is an interesting theory. I wish I thought of it first.
Are they trees or are they fungi?
Yeah, that's another thing I've been wondering too. I mean, they act more like a mushroom in a way.
Fungi, they feed on.
Well, they have a giant network, like a mycelial network.
Yeah. They cordyceps control the minds of things to make the ground more viable for their fermentation. They digest plant matter and animal matter, more often animal matter. Yeah, maybe they're fungi.
Yeah.
Magical, scary fungi.
Yeah. I like this question because Jack and Agar definitely was in the black cells. Why was he in there? He was in there because he wanted to be in there. Now, was he there to kill Ned Stark, or was he there to be taken by the Night's Watch to kill somebody in the north? You know, it could have been somebody, you know, could have been Jon Snow, Mormont, could have been Bloodraven. You know, it could have been anybody. We don't know who he was in why he was in the black cells.
Could have been Tywin.
Yeah.
Or he could have completed his object, or he could have already killed someone in King's Landing and then just had like a servant happened to walk in at the wrong moment, scream, bursts out, bung, just not his day, runs right into a pair of gold cloaks as he's covered in blood.
Well, and he wouldn't kill someone that's not on his list.
That's true.
Right. No. So what I mean is he got hired to do a job.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he killed someone, but even if a servant sees him, he's not going to kill that servant. So that your theory makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So then it's just a 13-year run of bad luck, or however that quote from New Vegas goes. And then he just ends up in the cells.
Let's not forget he could run out that door and quickly just do this, and he looks like a different guy. Like, he has the ability to magically alter his face enough where he wouldn't be the same guy the servant saw. You know,
that was the show, right? I don't think they did that in the books.
There is something in the book where I swear he turns on her and she said, you know, Jack and Agar is no longer.
Gotcha. Because I really did not like how they just did the quick pull off.
I don't think he pulls off, he manipulates.
It trivializes.
Yeah, it turns the magic into a physical action. That's the problem that I didn't like with it.
Yeah, it feels too trivial. Kind of like from Supernatural when they first introduced shapeshifters. Going off topic, and the first time you see a shapeshifter, he has to like rip off his skin and like help his bones get into the new shape. He has to rip out his old teeth and get the new teeth. Like, he's just completely molting his old form and then building a new one, and then they change it a few seasons later because budget, where it's just they change on the spot.
Yeah, that's a point there. Yeah, they just could flop like that.
I mean, the show went off the rails when they started hunting God.
And probably earlier than that, honestly. But back to the Game of Thrones, which also went off the rails when they decided to stop following certain logic. Arya should not have gotten out of that.
The show started going off the rails when they decided to put 2 books in one season.
I'd argue it got off the rails when they shot Tywin.
I mean,
mine was before then.
Well, no, I mean, like, they killed him, and then the seasons after that is when the decline started.
Well, it just declined after they lost the source material, and they had to write, and they thought they were qualified.
They actually didn't, if I remember, because if I remember right, Well, because if I remember right, it was book 5 they were adapting. Didn't that come out well before season 5?
So book 5 came out. Yeah, it did, because book 6 came out after the first season. So they had
Yeah, so
that stuff.
they had the plot. They had everything they needed.
Oh yeah, what I'm saying is, though, the whole thing started to fall apart when they ran out of certain people's storylines. So after season 4, they started losing certain storylines, or they just couldn't
Okay.
keep it together, maybe. But once they ran out of storyline, it was, I mean, they just couldn't, because they wrote some stuff in the first season that was not in the book that I actually thought was, wow, I like why they did that. They just
Yeah.
adjusted it some. Some of the best quotes in the show were them. You know, chaos is a ladder was an interesting
Like
one.
wasn't the interaction between Jamie and Tywin that was purely Dumb and Dumber?
Yeah,
Yep, and between
Like when you've got
Cersei and Robert when they were talking,
yeah,
when they
that's a
had their
great
moment.
one. Yeah, that's a great one.
yeah. So they can do it.
Yeah, Tywin talking to Tommen about what makes a good king. That was completely all them as well. And that's one of the best scenes there, because it shows Tywin's like, oh wait a minute, this kid actually gets it. He's not like his stupid brother.
Mm-hmm.
This kid is actually viable. Damn.
Yeah.
He may be an inbred bastard who's probably not worth the oxygen he's breathing, but he's better than Joffrey. I can salvage this situation.
But
Exactly.
he's a Lannister.
I just need him to like bone Marjorie so we get some of those genetics back into the line, and then that is very Bene Gesserit thinking. That's not Tywin thinking. Apologies.
Yeah, Jack, and he gave me the iron coin. I know no one by this name, child. I asked him how he changes his face, and he said it was no harder than taking a new name if you knew the way. So he does change his face before after he leaves Harrenhal.
To the extent of that, because a lot of assuming a new identity is demeanor, it's clothing, it's your bearing, it's how you speak. Like the Clark Kent and the glasses thing, it's not just him taking off the glasses. No. So it's not necessarily going to be the magical. Oh, I just zoom, new person, zoom, new person, zoom, new person.
Right.
It could be as simple as I take off my wig and I have my shoulders back and I don't make eye contact with you and I'm a different person now.
Yeah, I walk differently.
Like
I
Master
hold myself
of Disguise.
Yeah.
Which I definitely prefer that far more.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Because it makes sense why they like to attract mamas and all that, you know?
Right. People that can actually act to be someone else already.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna have to wrap it up though. Damn it, because this is good. But we're gonna have to wrap it up. I have work in the morning, and I want this thing to make my own shorts for me. I don't want to have to do it. So,
yep.
Shadow,
cut it off before 2 hours, quick.
We'll add you to our little DM chat, so if you want to jump on ever, you can just jump on. I enjoyed having you back on the show.
Thank you.
So let them know where they can find you, buddy.
Howdy everyone, I'm the Shadow of the Hawk. You can find Shadow of Hawk 55. You can go find me over on the YouTube channel by the same name. Only real project going on right now is my Monday nights D&D streams. We've had a bit of a hiatus due to real life stuff, but we should be going back in full throttle next Monday. The party should be finishing up the current dungeon they're in, which should be a lot of fun. Hopefully no more fatalities. Fortunately, the only fatality thus far has been an NPC, so wasn't too bad. And if you like some of my takes or you just like reading schizo takes, whether it's pop culture or political, Twitter, same thing, Shadow of Hawk 55. You can check me out over there. Heads up, Zoomer, schizo, you're going to be reading some really fucked up shit. And yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, I like
that. For having me on, guys.
I like that. I agree with you, 11, on that one. And Kirsty, that's a Blood Raven. I forgot they do describe him like a fungi, like an antenna growing out of his eye. So you're right. So they may be.
They also said there isn't mushroom left in him.
Oh, cha-cha. And then really quickly, because she forgot this one, found Roman Greek history myth on soul stealing tied to people forgetting their names. Identity names is very important with magic. It made me think of Arya straight away. Yeah, because she can't forget who she is. But that was a fun night. Grant, you want to share anything or?
Yeah, got Happy Hump Day tonight going on, and then we got the FAP on the weekend, Full Aussie podcast, and then on Sunday, me and the boys are gonna be fagging Full Aussie Gaming. So,
oh wow,
yeah.
Talking about gaming,
okay.
I'll be gaming Thursday night. Well, I'm finally going to play this Game of Thrones King's Road. So please check it out, guys. I'll be here Thursday night, 8 p.m. Saturday,
you should get the Telltale game where you go through and you make all your choices. Have you played that one?
And it's only one. They never came out with the sequel.
What do you mean it's only one?
The Telltale game is not like multiple games. They stopped after the first one. I believe
it was meant to get. I think if I remember right, it was meant to be a trilogy. But the Telltale company, not the game, the Telltale company imploded. They got reignited for an Expanse game that I heard nothing about after it was initially announced. And I don't think you can even get the Telltale Game of Thrones game except out of like physical copies.
Yeah, physical. I have it somewhere. It was fun. I wish they kept up with it, but we will be playing the King's Road game.
It was a full story though. Like
it was only one chapter of that story.
No, it's 6 chapters.
Yeah, but the
way it ends.
Yeah, it didn't end.
It ends on a it ends. If you're fine with French films, it ends fine, but it doesn't really end on a good conclusion.
Yeah, we got to end this.
Gotta dig.
2 hours.
Cut it quick. You're gonna run out of time.
We'll talk after 8 p.m. Thursday, 8 p.m. Aluminum Spork Saturday. Guys, have a great night. Later.
Cutting it close, Scotty.
I'm going to do it this time. I'm going to make it. Don't you worry.
You got 10 seconds to go.
I know. No, I got a minute.
No, it doesn't. Not on my end.
Oh, God. I'm ending it now.